The message came through on a frequency that hadn't been used in decades. Commander Veronica Reeves stood in the dimly lit communications center of Lunar Base Alpha, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display as the alien transmission repeated its haunting plea. The year was 2157, and humanity had long prepared for first contact, but not like this. Please, the message repeated in perfect universal standard, a language developed by Earth's linguists for potential alien communication. Our civilization faces extinction. The Kryvax Empire shows no mercy. We are the Astari, and we beg for aid from any who can hear us. Reeves ran her fingers through her silver-streaked black hair, a habit from her 20 years of service that surfaced whenever she faced difficult decisions. The hologram showed the sender, Ambassador Nixus of the Astari, a being whose crystalline skin seemed to capture and reflect the very stars themselves. Analysis complete, Commander, Lieutenant Park announced from his station, his young face illuminated by the blue glow of his console. The transmission originates from the Carina Nebula, approximately 7,000 light-years from Earth. The quantum entanglement signature matches what we'd expect from an advanced civilization. Reeves nodded, her mind already racing through the implications. Humanity had developed faster-than-light travel only 15 years ago, and their presence in the galaxy was still limited. They had established colonies on Mars, Venus, and several moons of Jupiter and Saturn, but venturing beyond the solar system had been cautious and measured. "Show me the attached data packet," she ordered, and the hologram shifted to display images that made her breath catch. The Astari homeworld was a marvel of biotechnology and crystalline architecture, cities that seemed to grow from the very planet itself. But now those cities burned, their crystalline spires shattered by the weapons of the Kryvax Empire's warships. The Kryvax vessels were dark and angular, their design speaking of efficiency and menace. They moved through space like predators, methodically destroying everything in their path. The Astari, for all their advanced technology, had focused entirely on peaceful development. Their ships were beautiful but carried no weapons. "Get me a secure line to Earth Command," Reeves ordered, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "And begin compiling all the data we have on the Carina Nebula region." As her staff rushed to comply, Ambassador Nixus's message continued. The Astari had achieved technological wonders through their mastery of crystalline computing and biological engineering. They had cured diseases, terraformed hostile planets, and created virtual worlds of unimaginable beauty. But they had never developed weapons of war, believing that intellectual and spiritual advancement would naturally lead to peaceful cooperation between species. The Kryvax Empire had proved them tragically wrong. Captain Julian Torres, Reeves's second-in-command, approached with a data tablet. "Commander, preliminary analysis suggests the Astari technology could be revolutionary for human development. Their crystalline computing alone could advance our capabilities by centuries." Reeves took the tablet, scanning the information while listening to Nixus describe the systematic destruction of Astari outposts and colonies. "And if the Kryvax get their hands on it? They could become unstoppable," Torres replied grimly. "Their empire already spans hundreds of systems according to the Astari data. With this technology, they could threaten every civilization in this arm of the galaxy, including Earth, eventually." The secure line to Earth Command chirped for attention. On the screen appeared Admiral Chen Wei, her weathered face bearing the gravity of command. "Commander Reeves, your report?" Reeves straightened, years of military discipline taking over. "Admiral, we've received a distress call from an advanced civilization called the Astari. They're under attack by an aggressive empire and requesting immediate assistance. I'm forwarding all data now." As the information transferred, Reeves continued, "The Astari possess technology that could revolutionize human civilization. However, they're pacifists with no military capabilities. If they fall to the Kryvax Empire, that same technology could become a threat to Earth." Admiral Chen was silent for a long moment, studying the data with intense focus. The Security Council will need to be briefed, she finally said. But Commander, what's your assessment? You're my eyes and ears out there. Reeves glanced at the hologram, where Nixus's crystalline features reflected a deep sorrow. Admiral, I believe this is the moment humanity has been preparing for. We've built our fleets, trained our crews, always wondering if we were ready for what waited among the stars. The Astari need our help, and in helping them, we may well be protecting Earth's future. The Carina Nebula is far beyond our current sphere of influence, Admiral Chen noted. A military expedition of this scale would be unprecedented. Yes, ma'am, Reeves agreed. But we've never been a species to back down from a challenge. The Astari have offered to share their technology freely with whoever aids them. With their knowledge of faster-than-light travel and our military expertise, we could reach them in time. The Admiral's expression remained neutral, but Reeves caught a glimmer of determination in her eyes. Stand by, Commander. I'll convene an emergency session of the Security Council. Continue analyzing the Astari data and begin preliminary planning for a potential military response. As the transmission ended, Reeves turned back to the hologram of Ambassador Nixus. The Astari's message had begun repeating again, their plea for help echoing through the communications center. She thought of humanity's long history, of all the times they had faced seemingly impossible odds and prevailed through sheer determination and ingenuity. Lieutenant Park, she called out, prepare a response to the Astari. Tell them. She paused, choosing her words carefully, tell them that humanity has heard their call, and we are discussing how best to help. Tell them they're not alone anymore. As Park began composing the message, Reeves studied the tactical displays showing the known positions of Earth's fleets. They had built these ships hoping they would never be needed, but always knowing that someday, somewhere in the vast expanse of space, humanity would face its greatest test. That day had arrived. Admiral Marcus Blackwood stood at the window of his office in Earth Command Headquarters, watching the sunrise over the Pacific Ocean. The holographic displays behind him showed endless streams of data about the unprecedented military operation taking shape. After 3 days of intense debate, the Security Council had made their decision: humanity would answer the Astari's call for help. The engineering teams report all modifications to the FTL drives are proceeding on schedule, Chief Engineer Raj Patel announced, his hologram flickering slightly as he gestured to the technical readouts. The Astari specifications are revolutionary. Their crystalline computing systems have allowed us to increase drive efficiency by 300%. Blackwood turned from the window, his weathered face reflecting both concern and determination. At 58, he had spent his entire career preparing Earth's defenses for potential threats from space. Now that threat had arrived, though not in the way anyone had expected. 300% won't be enough, he said, studying the distance calculations. Even with the improved drives, we're looking at a 2-week journey to reach the Astari homeworld. The Kryvax Empire is already there. Patel nodded, his dark eyes bright with the challenge. That's why we're focusing on the carrier groups first. The Astari data suggests the Kryvax employ a siege warfare strategy. They don't just destroy their targets, they take their time, savoring the conquest. We should have enough time to get our first wave of ships there. The Admiral brought up a tactical display showing the disposition of Earth's forces. 5 carrier groups were being prepared for the expedition, each built around one of humanity's massive aerospace carriers. These ships, each nearly 2 kilometers long, could launch swarms of fighters and carry enough troops and equipment for a major planetary campaign. What about the new weapons systems? Blackwood asked, bringing up the relevant data. The Astari provided detailed information about Kryvax shield technology. Have we found a way to counter it? Actually, yes, Patel's hologram moved to the weapons display, his expression animated. We've modified our plasma torpedoes to match the resonant frequency of their shields. The Astari may be pacifists, but they're brilliant scientists. Their analysis of Kryvax technology is incredibly detailed. A chime announced another incoming transmission. Dr. Olivia Harrison, head of the Xenobiology department, appeared alongside Patel's hologram. "Admiral, we've completed our analysis of the Astari biological data. Their crystal-based biology is unlike anything we've ever encountered. Their entire civilization is built on the integration of organic and crystalline technologies." Blackwood frowned. "Can we protect them from Kryvak's weapons? Their cities are being shattered like glass." "We're working on that," Harrison replied. "The Astari have already begun implementing some of our suggestions for reinforcing their structures. They're quick learners, and their ability to manipulate crystalline structures at the molecular level is astonishing." The Admiral's desk computer chimed with a priority message. The latest intelligence from long-range quantum sensors showed 3 more Astari colonies had fallen to the Kryvak's advance. The images were haunting, beautiful crystalline cities reduced to fields of glittering shards. "We're running out of time," Blackwood stated grimly. "Raj, how soon can the first carrier group be ready?" "The Dauntless battle group can launch in 36 hours, Patel answered promptly. "Captain Rodriguez and her crew have been running drills around the clock. The other groups will follow at 12-hour intervals." Blackwood nodded, his decision made. "Make it 24 hours. I don't care what corners you have to cut, get them ready. The Astari are counting on us." As his officers acknowledged the order, Blackwood returned to the window. Somewhere out there, 7,000 light-years away, a civilization that had never known war was learning its brutal lessons. Humanity had known little else throughout its history, but perhaps that was why they were uniquely suited to this moment. "One more thing," he added, turning back to his officers. "I'll be commanding this operation personally from the Dauntless. Have my flag quarters prepared." Both Patel and Harrison looked surprised. Flag officers rarely took direct command of expeditionary forces anymore, but Blackwood had made his decision. This mission was too important to delegate. The next 24 hours passed in a blur of activity. The Dauntless, pride of Earth's fleet, underwent final preparations in lunar orbit. Her massive hangars were packed with fighters and dropships, her magazines filled with newly modified weapons. The ship's crystalline computer core, a gift from the Astari, hummed with power as it coordinated thousands of systems. Admiral Blackwood stood on the Dauntless bridge, watching as the crew made final preparations for launch. The ship's captain, Sofia Rodriguez, approached with a status report. "All systems are green, Admiral," she reported crisply. "The battle group is formed up and ready for FTL transit. Engineering reports the new drive modifications are functioning perfectly." "Very well, Captain," Blackwood replied, taking his seat in the flag command chair. "Signal the fleet. It's time to show the galaxy that humanity answers when called." The order was given, and 5 massive ships, accompanied by their escorts, engaged their drives. Space itself seemed to bend around them as they accelerated to faster-than-light speeds, leaving Earth behind on humanity's first major military expedition beyond their solar system. As the fleet departed, Blackwood thought of the Astari ambassador's message, the plea that had set all this in motion. Humanity had spent centuries looking to the stars, wondering if they were alone, preparing for either friendship or conflict. Now they had found both, and their response would shape the future of galactic civilization. The Dauntless and her battle group accelerated through FTL, carrying with them humanity's determination to prove that their species could be not just warriors when needed, but also protectors of those who couldn't protect themselves. Captain Diana Foster stood at the tactical station of the destroyer Artemis, watching the swirling patterns of FTL space through the main viewport. As part of the Dauntless battle group, they were now 11 days into their journey to the Astari homeworld. The enhanced drives had performed beyond expectations, but the waiting was taking its toll on everyone's nerves. "Contact." Tactical Officer Liam O'Connor's voice cut through the quiet bridge atmosphere. "Multiple signatures dropping out of FTL ahead of us. Configuration matches Kryvak's patrol vessels. Foster's training kicked in immediately. Battle stations. All hands to combat positions. Lieutenant O'Connor, full tactical analysis. Communications, alert the Dauntless. The Artemis's warning klaxons blared as the crew rushed to their posts. Through the viewport, Foster watched as 3 Kryvak ships materialized against the star-filled backdrop. Their dark, angular hulls seemed to absorb the light around them, a stark contrast to the sleek lines of human vessels. Analysis complete, O'Connor reported, his Irish accent more pronounced under stress. 3 Kryvak's destroyers, Nexus-class according to Astari intelligence. They're charging weapons but haven't raised shields yet. They probably weren't expecting to find anyone out here. Admiral Blackwood's voice came through the command channel. Captain Foster, this is the first contact with Kryvak's forces. Show them what humanity can do. The battle group will support you. Understood, Admiral, Foster replied, her mind already formulating tactics. Helm, bring us around to heading 340 Mark II. Weapons, load the modified plasma torpedoes. Let's test the Astari's shield frequency data. The Artemis moved with precision, her enhanced engines responding instantly to commands. The Kryvak's ships, finally recognizing the threat, began to move into an attack formation. Their weapons powered up, dark energy crackling along their hull emitters. Enemy vessels are broadcasting in Universal Standard, communications reported. They're demanding our immediate surrender. Foster allowed herself a grim smile. Send them our response. This is Captain Diana Foster of the Earth vessel Artemis. You are engaged in illegal aggression against the Astari civilization. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The Kryvak's response was predictable, a barrage of energy weapons fire that lit up space around the Artemis. But Foster had been ready. Evasive pattern Delta. Return fire with conventional weapons only, hold the torpedoes until they raise shields. The Artemis danced through space, her point defense systems intercepting most of the Kryvak's fire while her own railguns and laser arrays struck back. The Kryvak's commanders, obviously surprised by the resistance, finally raised their shields. Now! Foster ordered. Launch torpedoes, full spread. The modified plasma torpedoes streaked from the Artemis's launch tubes, their guidance systems locked onto the Kryvak's ships. The enemy vessels attempted to evade, but the torpedoes followed relentlessly. When they struck the Kryvak's shields, the effect was immediate and devastating. Direct hits. O'Connor reported excitedly. Their shields are collapsing, the Astari data worked. Their defense systems can't handle the resonance frequency. The Kryvak's ships, suddenly vulnerable, tried to withdraw, but Foster had no intention of letting them escape to warn others. All weapons, target their engines. Don't let them jump to FTL. The Artemis's full arsenal opened up, joined by fire from the approaching Dauntless battle group. Precision strikes disabled the Kryvak's engines, leaving them stranded in normal space. Within minutes, the battle was over. 2 Kryvak's ships were completely disabled, while the third had suffered catastrophic reactor failure and been destroyed. Damage report, Foster called out, finally allowing herself to relax slightly. Minor hull damage to sections 4 and 7, engineering reported. Point defense arrays at 80%. No casualties. The new shield modifications held up perfectly. Admiral Blackwood's voice came through again. Excellent work, Captain Foster. Prepare boarding parties for the disabled vessels. We need any intelligence we can gather about their operations in this sector. As Foster organized the boarding operations, she reflected on what they had learned. The Kryvaks, for all their fearsome reputation, had never faced an enemy that could match their technology. Humanity, with help from Astari intelligence, had just proved they were vulnerable. The boarding parties, led by Marine Commander Rachel Wong, reported success in securing the Kryvax vessels. The alien crews had been taken into custody, and teams of intelligence officers began downloading data from their ship's computers. "Captain," O'Connor called out, his voice tense. "Long-range sensors are picking up multiple signatures. Large fleet formations, bearing directly for the Astari homeworld. It's the main Kryvax invasion force." Foster studied the sensor data grimly. The Kryvax fleet was massive, hundreds of ships moving in tight formation. But now humanity knew their weaknesses, and the dauntless battle group had proved they could exploit them. "Signal the Admiral," she ordered. "Tell him the Artemis is ready for round 2. The real battle for the Astari homeworld was about to begin, and humanity's first major interstellar conflict would be fought not for conquest or glory, but in defense of a peaceful civilization that had asked for help. As Foster watched the battle group form up around the Dauntless, she felt a fierce pride in being part of this mission. The Kryvax were about to learn that humanity's strength lay not just in their weapons or technology, but in their unwavering determination to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The battle for the stars had begun, and Earth's forces were ready to show the galaxy what they could do. Dr. Naomi Rodriguez moved through the crystalline corridors of the Astari Central Science Facility, still amazed by how the walls seemed to pulse with their own inner light. 2 weeks had passed since the human fleet's arrival at the Astari homeworld, and every moment had been spent preparing for the inevitable Kryvax assault. "The integration of human defensive systems with our crystal matrix is proceeding faster than expected," High Sage Zena commented, her translucent form gliding alongside Rodriguez. The Astari leader's crystalline features reflected the ambient light, creating mesmerizing patterns that shifted with her emotions. "Your species' grasp of warfare is disturbing, yet invaluable." Rodriguez smiled grimly as they entered the main laboratory. "We learned our lessons the hard way, through centuries of conflict. Now those lessons might save your civilization." She gestured to the holographic display dominating the center of the room, where a complex network of defense platforms orbited a representation of the Astari homeworld. "The shield harmonics are stable," reported technical specialist Jun Wei from his workstation. "The Astari crystal technology amplifies our defensive fields by an order of magnitude. If the Kryvax try the same tactics they used on the outer colonies, they're in for a surprise." The laboratory buzzed with activity as human and Astari scientists worked side by side. The collaboration had yielded remarkable results. Human military technology merged with Astari crystal engineering to create defensive systems unlike anything either species had developed alone. High Sage Zena approached one of the prototype defense platforms. "To think, we spent millennia developing ways to create and nurture, never imagining we would need to defend ourselves. The Kryvax showed us the galaxy's darker nature. And we'll show them humanity's response to bullies," Rodriguez assured her, checking the latest simulation data. The defensive network they'd created surrounded not just the Astari homeworld, but also protected the civilian evacuation corridors to safe zones established by the human fleet. A priority alert flashed across the main display. Admiral Blackwood's hologram materialized in the laboratory, his expression grave. "Dr. High Sage, our long-range sensors have detected the Kryvax main fleet. They'll be here in less than 48 hours. Rodriguez shared a look with Zena before responding. "The defensive network is ready, Admiral. We've also completed the modifications to the Astari crystal ships. They won't be warships, but they can now generate defensive fields strong enough to protect the evacuation fleet." "Good work," Blackwood nodded. "But I need more. The Kryvax fleet is larger than our initial estimates. We're outnumbered at least 5-1. Zena stepped forward, her crystalline form pulsing with determination. "Perhaps I can help with that, Admiral. We have been working on something unprecedented. A merger of our crystal technology with your combat systems that could change the nature of this battle." The High Sage gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show a new design. Rodriguez felt her breath catch as she recognized what they'd created. The human scientists had dubbed it the Crystal Lance, a massive orbital weapon that used Astari crystal technology to focus and amplify human plasma weapons to devastating effect. It's unstable, Rodriguez warned. The power requirements alone are enormous, and we haven't had time to run full testing protocols. But it works, Xena countered. Our simulations show it could disable multiple Kryvax capital ships with a single shot. We have the crystal matrices needed to build 3 of them before the enemy arrives. Admiral Blackwood studied the design, his holographic form showing signs of concern. The risk to your crystal matrices is acceptable, Xena interrupted firmly. You have shown us that sometimes we must take risks to protect what we value. Let us do this, Admiral. Let us fight alongside you in our own way. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of activity. The crystal lances took shape in orbit, their construction supervised by both human and Astari engineers. Rodriguez worked tirelessly with her team, making adjustments and running simulations until her eyes burned from exhaustion. The Astari population had largely been evacuated to underground shelters or off-world safe zones, their crystalline cities now transformed into fortresses. Human Marines worked alongside Astari security forces, teaching them basic combat techniques while learning to utilize the crystal technology for defensive purposes. When the Kryvax fleet finally arrived, they found not a helpless civilization awaiting slaughter, but a world bristling with defenses. The combined human-Astari fleet held position around the planet, ready to demonstrate what 2 species could achieve together. All stations report ready, Rodriguez announced from the central control facility. Beside her, High Sage Xena monitored the crystal matrices powering their defenses, her form glowing with barely contained energy. The Kryvax fleet emerged from FTL in a massive wave, their dark ships blotting out the stars. Their commander's transmission was predictably arrogant, "This world belongs to the Empire. Surrender now and we may spare some of you to serve as slaves." Admiral Blackwood's response came from the Dauntless, "This is your only warning. The Astari are under Earth's protection. Withdraw or be destroyed." The Kryvax answer was a barrage of weapons fire that lit up space. But when their energy weapons struck the enhanced shields protecting the Astari world, something unexpected happened. The crystalline defense network didn't just block the attack, it absorbed and redirected the energy, sending it back at the attacking fleet. Crystal Lances 1 through 3, execute firing sequence, Rodriguez ordered, watching as the massive orbital weapons powered up. The crystalline matrices pulsed with blinding light as they focused and amplified the human plasma weapons to unprecedented levels. 3 beams of pure energy lanced out into space, each striking a Kryvax capital ship. The results exceeded even their simulations. The enemy vessel's shields collapsed instantly, their hulls crystallizing and shattering under the impact. High Sage Xena's voice carried a note of wonder. Perhaps there is a place for creation even in destruction. We have made something new here, something that neither of our species could have achieved alone. The battle for the Astari homeworld had begun, and the defenders were ready to show the Kryvax Empire that not all peaceful species were helpless victims. Sometimes, they just needed the right allies to help them find their strength. Fleet Commander Helena Stone watched from the bridge of the advanced destroyer Phoenix as the combined human-Astari fleet engaged the Kryvax armada. The void of space had transformed into a battlefield of unprecedented scale, with energy weapons, plasma torpedoes, and crystalline beams crisscrossing the darkness. "Multiple Kryvax vessels attempting to flank our position," reported her tactical officer. "They're trying to find a way through our defense grid." Stone's expression remained composed as she assessed the situation. The Kryvax fleet, under the command of Warlord Vexthor, had launched wave after wave of attacks over the past 6 hours. Each assault had been repelled, but the enemy's resources seemed endless. "Maintain formation," she ordered. "Coordinate with the Crystal Lance platforms. Don't let them split our forces. The Phoenix's advanced sensors tracked hundreds of ships locked in combat. Human vessels, their hulls reinforced with Astari crystal technology, traded fire with Kryvax warships. The once peaceful Astari ships, now converted into support vessels, projected powerful defensive fields that protected the fleet. A transmission cut through the tactical chatter. This is Admiral Blackwood. All ships, execute Pattern Omega. Draw them into kill zones 3 and 4. Stone acknowledged the order, directing the Phoenix and her squadron to their assigned positions. The human fleet's movements were precise, each ship working in perfect coordination. This level of organization had caught the Kryvax off guard. They were used to overwhelming frightened, disorganized opponents. Incoming transmission from the enemy flagship, communications announced. Warlord Vexthor is demanding direct communication. Stone nodded, and the holographic display activated to reveal the Kryvax commander. Vexthor was an imposing figure, his armor adorned with trophies from conquered worlds. His reptilian features twisted in what might have been amusement. "Your resistance is admirable but futile," he declared. "The Kryvax Empire has never been defeated. We have conquered 1,000 worlds, exterminated dozens of species. Why do you humans throw away your lives defending these weaklings?" Stone met his gaze steadily. "Because that's what humans do, Warlord. We stand up to bullies. And right now, you're facing not just humanity, but the combined strength of two civilizations that you gravely underestimated." As if to emphasize her point, another crystal lance beam sliced through space, cutting a Kryvax heavy cruiser in half. The enemy fleet's formations were beginning to show signs of strain, their coordinated attacks becoming increasingly desperate. "Bridge to engineering," Stone called. "Status of the prototype?" Chief Engineer Thaddeus Reed's voice came back tense but confident. "The crystal matrix is stable, Commander. The Astari modifications are holding. We can execute on your order." Stone allowed herself a small smile. While the main battle had raged, human and Astari scientists had been working on one final surprise. They had adapted the crystal lance technology to work on a smaller scale, integrating it directly into ship-based weapons. "All ships equipped with the prototype weapons, form up on the Phoenix," she ordered. Admiral Blackwood, requesting permission to execute Operation Shatterpoint. "Permission granted, Commander. Show them what we can do." The Phoenix led a squadron of modified vessels into position. The Kryvax fleet, sensing a new threat, began to concentrate their fire on Stone's formation. But the enhanced shields held, buying them the time they needed. Multiple weapons locks confirmed, tactical reported. Crystal matrices at full power. Stone took a deep breath. Fire. Dozens of crystalline-enhanced beams erupted from the human ships, each one targeting a specific weak point in the Kryvax formation. The effect was devastating. Enemy vessels that had shrugged off conventional weapons now found their shields useless against the hybrid technology. Warlord Vexthor's voice roared over the command channel. "Impossible. We cannot be defeated by..." His transmission cut off as a crystal lance beam struck his flagship, the massive vessel breaking apart in a spectacular explosion. Without their commander, the Kryvax fleet's organization began to crumble. "Push the advantage," Admiral Blackwood ordered. "Drive them back." The combined fleet surged forward. Human warships, Astari defense platforms, and the orbital crystal lances worked in concert to systematically destroy or disable the remaining Kryvax vessels. Those that could still flee began jumping to FTL, abandoning their invasion plans. Hours later, Stone stood in the Astari High Council chamber alongside Admiral Blackwood and other fleet commanders. High Sage Zena addressed the assembled leaders, her crystalline form radiating joy and gratitude. "Today marks a new chapter in our history," she declared. "The Kryvax believed us weak because we chose peace. They never understood that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when to fight and the courage to stand up for others. She turned to the human officers. You came to our aid when no one else would. You taught us that sometimes we must defend what we love, and that doing so does not diminish our commitment to peace. The bonds forged between our peoples will never be broken. Admiral Blackwood stepped forward. The victory belongs to both our species. Your technology, combined with our military experience, created something entirely new. Together, we've shown the galaxy that cooperation and mutual respect are stronger than conquest and domination. Stone listened as plans were made for a permanent alliance between Earth and the Astari. The humans would help them develop defensive capabilities while gaining access to advanced crystal technology. More importantly, other peaceful civilizations that had lived in fear of the Kryvax Empire were now reaching out, seeking to join this new coalition. Looking out over the crystalline spires of the Astari capital, now scarred but unbroken, Stone reflected on how far they had come. Humanity had traveled across thousands of light-years not to conquer, but to protect. In doing so, they had helped forge something unprecedented, a partnership between two vastly different species based on mutual respect and shared values. The stars above seemed brighter somehow, full of promise rather than threat. The galaxy was changing, and humanity had played a crucial role in that change. They had proved that being strong didn't mean being cruel, and that the fiercest warriors could also be the most dedicated protectors. A new era had dawned, and it would be shaped not by the ambitions of empires, but by the combined strength of civilizations working together toward a better future.